I did not wake on the 10th till midday, when the emperor gave us a pleasant surprise by saying he would take us at 2 o'clock to the sea and made an appointment to meet at the Fort de Hague at 3 o'clock. The Queen of Westphalia, however, kept me waiting more than an hour, which made me at least as impatient as herself. I was really angry to think how vexed the emperor would be with me if I did not arrive in time. Accordingly, I was at a temper the whole day. As a rule, I am a good-natured person, perhaps too weak, but when in a passion, which happens very rarely, I am perhaps more angry than other women. The part of the island over which we wandered is like an ornamental garden full of fruit trees, weeping willows, elms, and above all, most beautiful meadows and lovely flowers. There are few villages, but many scattered houses, extremely clean, inhabited by rich farmers. A marshy odor is perceptible everywhere. And in walking on these beautiful meadows, one is often astonished to find oneself halfway to the knee in water. At 4 o'clock, we reached Fort Hague, behind which are the dunes. These are sand hills of various shapes from which we could see the tips of masts, which showed the sea was not far distant. I was impatient to see it at once, so to while away the time, we tasted the cream, which is excellent and is preserved in curious green bottles. The emperor wished to show us the sea at once, but here the dunes were impassable, which obliged us to take another short journey up 2 hours in carriages to find a spot which we could climb. At last we found it, and I was much astonished on getting out to find my legs half buried in sand. Each step we took was equally troublesome, but the ascent was nothing to travelers as intrepid as ourselves, and we were well repaid by the fine view that burst upon us when we reached the top of the hills. We saw the ocean as an immense surface of water bounded only by the horizon. The sun was setting and colored the sea like a rainbow. Far off we could descry some fishing boats returning from their labor protected by a sloop. It's always necessary to protect them in this manner from the English who take their fish, which they refuse to pay for. The sea was very calm except on the shore, where it was breaking upon the rocks. With some violence, the emperor called for maps and talked with the engineers. The Queen of Westphalia and I amused ourselves by picking up shells with which the beach was covered. Some are charming, but those of the Mediterranean and the Indies are said to be infinitely finer. These shells, combined with the unwholesome air and the mischievous trick of the king, were the cause of my having 3 attacks of fever. In the middle of our amusement, I saw that the Viceroy and the Duc d'Estrées were watching and laughing at us in a very significant manner. I had not time to ask why before the tide came up with great force, faster than we were able to run, and wetted us to the knees. Fortunately, it returned as quickly as it had come. These gentlemen then explained this was the usual habit of the tide. They might, however, have been gallant enough to warn us. We gave up our search and asked the emperor's permission to change. His reply was, "Stay as you are, ladies. This bath will do you good." So he made us wait till 8 o'clock. When we reached home, we dined, and the same military music was performed as on the evening before. On the 11th, the weather was shocking all day. This did not prevent the emperor from going a second time to see Flushing. I remained in bed in a high fever. I do not know what has become of my iron constitution. It has disappeared entirely. I am sure this is the fault of the doctor, who during the whole journey has done nothing but dose me. On his return, the emperor told us that he had seen an English frigate approach within range of the cannon of Flushing, which in obedience to his order had bombarded her so hotly that she had retired quicker than she came. On the morning of the 12th, the emperor held a council. It really was not our fault that we heard everything, for the hall was close to my room, and the emperor shouted terribly. I had fever again all night, so being much fatigued, and the weather was dreadful, I only drove out at 2 o'clock to see the town. Middleburg has 30,000 inhabitants. It is a fortress surrounded by beautiful country houses and gardens, but I was unable to see them, not having our horses here. The finest buildings of the town are the cathedral, the town hall, and the meat market. markets, they are at least as fine as those I have seen in Paris, and much cleaner. The trading port is very large and surrounded by avenues where the people of Middleburg promenade on Sundays. Some of the houses are fine. On returning, I found the Queen of Westphalia very much out of temper because I had not taken her, but she wearies me by her incessant inquiry, "Do you still care for the Duchess de Montebello?" I have only known the Duchess 2 months and am most attached to her, so could not help replying to the Queen, "My dear, I do not change my friends like my chemises." What she said to me is just the way a queen talks. People say that women of our rank do not know how to form their attachments, but I should like to show there are exceptions. It is quite true the poor queen is very unfortunate with her friends. Hardly she has made a friend before the king makes her his mistress, and that really is not the way to keep her attached to them. In the evening, the viceroy took the Duchess de Montebello to purchase contraband goods and to see the spire of the cathedral, which is said to be very ancient. It was decided that we should depart the following day, whatever the weather might be. I am glad, for although the island is certainly very attractive, I have not much enjoyed wearing the same clothes for 4 days. In the evening, we received the local officials. There were not very many, and most of them did not understand French. Here, the manuscript breaks off. The journey, however, was far from completed. The emperor left Middleburg on May 13th after Mass, inspected the forts as he passed, and reached Antwerp at 10 o'clock. On the 14th, he left Antwerp at 4 in the afternoon and arrived at Laeken at 9. The 15th and 16th were spent at Laeken. On the 15th, a play was performed at Brussels, followed by the presentation of the ladies. On the 16th, inspection of the manufactories and a fete at the Hôtel de Ville. On the 17th, Ghent was visited. On the 18th, Bruges. Here on the following day, Louise visited the tomb of her ancestress, Marie of Burgundy, daughter of the Charles the Rash and wife of Maximilian. On the 20th, she left Bruges for Ostend by the Wilhelmina bark from Ghent. On the 21st, she left Ostend for Dunkirk. And on the 22nd, arrived at Lille, where they stayed over the 23rd. Then Bethune, Calais, Boulogne were visited on the 25th. Abbeville, Saint-Valery, Fécamp, Dieppe on the 26th. The 27th through 29th were spent at Le Havre, and on the 30th through the 31st at Rouen. On June 1st at 9 o'clock, the emperor returned to St. Cloud.